All righty, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, my name is Eddie Williams. Mark Maupin and I have been putting on a series of meetings where we bring in a different speaker to talk about a different topic of investment real estate. The meetings are free. They're always here in Southfield, Michigan. If you are watching this via YouTube, next month we invite you to come out in person because a large part of the benefit that you get out of this is from networking, meeting the people, making contacts here. But again, we have these basically monthly. Tonight we have a very well-versed couple here with plenty of experience in real estate. But my business partner, Mark Maupin, he has known them for many years, and he is actually going to do the introduction. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark.
Thanks. So we've got Sherry and Leonard Picket here tonight, and what makes these two guys great is the fact that pretty much anything you're interested in real estate, they do or they've done. So, like, done fine fix and flip. He's an REO agent, real estate broker. They're a property management company. They handle property management for people all over the country here in this market. Their most recent, and well, I picked the world's worst day because today's the day that your taxes are due. They run a tax service. So Sherry's not really very happy with Linda and I, because she's going to go home and work till midnight. So anyway, because she's going to be dealing with everybody that waited till the last minute. Yeah. So they're incredibly knowledgeable in that area too. And I'll give you an example. I just bought a house. Well, I got an old asset manager friend of mine came to me and said, Mark, I got a house in Pontiac and the kitchen has collapsed. The refrigerator's in the basement now because the floor collapsed and went into the basement, and it's a tear down. And so I sent another person out that I use a lot, and he told me, yeah, this is a no-brainer, take it. But he never opened up the front door to look inside the house. And when you did, it wasn't so bad that the refrigerator fell into the basement floor. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the roof was disappeared in the back. So he said, I recommend that you give it back. Well, here I've already signed a purchase agreement. I'm in trouble. And the person that bailed me out was Leonard. And he got a buyer, and I'm actually going to make money on the house. So I'm like thrilled with that. So we go way back. So I'm like, I can't tell you. These guys are very experienced, and they probably answer any question. They've also been doing some stuff with gold and silver. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. But it's really geared about you guys asking questions. So I'm going to let them run it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to be here. It's a pleasure to be with you guys this evening. Okay, so yes, as he said, we have been doing real estate very, very long time. I've been doing it about almost be 26 years in July myself. So I've been in and out of this thing for quite some time. But it has been a passion of ours. It's something that we have definitely been called to do, I believe, and we are just happy to be here to share all of our real estate experience. So, you know where you want to start out with this? You want to talk about flipping?
I guess we can talk about our story. So thank you for the proper introduction and having us here on the National Real Estate Network. Mm-hmm. Mark and I go way back. I'm not going to date myself on how far we go back, but that's my main man over there. We've done plenty of deals, made a lot of money together. So we run a brokerage firm, RCH Brokerage, and we just started a new property management arm of it called Big Mitten Development. And so we're launching that, and we've been doing property management for over 20 years, so we're well versed in property management. Also, I started off in real estate doing a lot of REO work, so I've worked with all the banks like HUD, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Bank of America, Countrywide, you name it, I've done it. Also, we're also versed in like government contracting, so we've had contracts with HUD, Detroit Land Bank, Michigan Land Bank, Southfield Neighborhood Growth Corporation.
We still have contracts with them.
Still got that one.
Yeah.
What else? Am I missing something? Marathon. So we actually got a contract with Marathon, helping them buy some properties and source properties in Detroit. So I can help people with that. We buy, fix, and flip homes. That's a passion of ours. We like really. I like making ugly things look beautiful.
Yes.
So like the house Mark is talking about, the guy who I sold it to actually fixed the house for me where the roof, where you walked in and you can see the sun when you walked in. And Sherry, when I bought the house, I was so excited. I said, hey baby, look what I bought. I was like, I bought this house and I paid like $50,000 for it.
Yep.
And she thought I was crazy when I bought that house.
He was so excited about this house, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go look. And I was like, and I'm used to like ugly stuff. I'm good with ugly stuff. I'm like okay with it. But I walked in, was like, there's a tree sticking out of here. It is the inside. I said, he done lost the left side of his brain. I said, you thought this was a good buy? He was like, this is excellent. You don't think so? This is excellent. I said, oh, okay. All right. But it did turn out beautiful. And it was one of our best flips. It was one of our best flips. I got to give it to him.
It was right outside of Boston. That's the one trick, like when I buy flips, if it's a hot area, like say Boston, Edison, or Rosedale, if I can't get in that community, I'll buy right next to it. And I'll piggyback off those comps to get the value, because even though you won't get the lowest of the value, you won't get like the Boston Edison comp or the Rosedale comp, but you'll be just underneath that. And that's a trick where you can kind of bring that value up and start there, and kind of build your own comps. The problem was we sold the house for like $300,000, and it was the first sale. Like everything over there sold for like $200 in that area.
Yep,
and so we couldn't buy another house in the whole neighborhood because everybody's like, oh, they got $300 for that one, and everybody wanted $150,000 for their house. So I couldn't buy any more houses, so I got to figure that out. I got to buy more up front next time and then rehab them as I go.
Yeah, but we've done that a couple times in a couple different neighborhoods. We were able to go and buy a home, and then we actually broke the market in that particular neighborhood. We got the highest sold property over there, but that's only because we take a lot of pride into what we put out on the market. People don't understand, it's one thing to flip a house, but the quality that you use and the materials, the contractor that you use, how they do the finishes, things like that. Those are all things that make the flip the best flip, right? In the market. So that's the reason why we don't argue. When they go to get their inspections and stuff done, things are done up to code, they're done properly, and you take care of the major stuff. I've seen flips be done and it looks good on the outside, but then the moment they go in, the plumbing hasn't been done right, the electrical isn't in there correctly, the roof is still old. Like, if you're going to do a flip and you want top of the market, you gotta do the work. It's no other way around it. You know what I mean? And trust me, you'll get it back. If you take pride in your project, people will see that and they'll definitely pay for it, because that's really all somebody wants. You got to think, we're flipping in markets where there are a lot of first-time home buyers. These people are not used to going in and putting a roof on a house. They're not used to going in and having to redo plumbing and things of that nature. So they're looking for something that they can go in that's headache-free, and they can move in and live in it for quite some time before they have to do anything major. So if you take care of those things, your flips will be amazing.
And don't shortcut stuff, because I've worked with some contractors, and like when you tear out a bathroom or a kitchen, they don't want to go into the walls. But a lot of times we're working in Detroit houses, and they're like built in the 30s, 40s, prior to 1960, and so they got those galvanized pipes or the stacks,
Yeah.
And those stacks are so corroded that if you don't tear that stuff out, you put that wall back, the kitchen back, bathroom back. I'm gonna have to tear out a bathroom right back out after I put brand new tile and everything in there, because the plumbing, the drains weren't working right. So save yourself the headache. Don't be cheap. Don't try and cut corners, because it's gonna come back to bite you in the flip game. That's what I learned. So it might be a little bit more expensive up front, but in the long run, you're gonna save money, and you're gonna have a happy customer. Your neighbor's gonna be good, and things are gonna work out a lot better for you. And you can stand behind your product that way too.
Yes.
So you want to be able to stand behind what you do.
Yeah, we're not ducking and dodging from anybody we ever sold a house to. So, you know what I mean? Because we showed them something good, and we sold them a good product as well. So, yeah.
And so another arm that we've been doing a lot of now is wholesaling. So wholesaling has kind of taken off, I would say, probably the last 5 years. And back during COVID, I kind of got started into it because the traditional market was kind of changing, and the landscape of real estate was changing, and everybody wants off-market deals. So I basically just started cold calling, getting deals, locking up contracts, and that's been a very good avenue as well with real estate. So we've added that to the niche as well. So if you got questions on how to do that, we're open. I'm an open book tonight.
Yeah.
As an investor, are we open to joint ventures? Yes, we are. We are open to joint ventures, definitely. We welcome it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The question was, do you deal in multifamily homes? And yes, we do.
Yes.
So one thing that I find lucrative with multifamily homes is that, like, most investors like them because of the dual income. And one thing I like about them personally, because I own some multifamilies, is if one unit goes vacant, you still have somebody else in the other unit to watch the house. That's number one. And they're good income producers, you know, because you got two rents coming in usually once you lease them up. The other thing is, when you're flipping, if you can find a multifamily home, like say in Bagley or in a good neighborhood, it's like Sherwood Forest or something like that. If it's got the single door, a lot of times I'll just do a conversion to a single family, and I'll flip it, and then you get that single family comp, and you make a lot of money. Yeah, I've done that several times.
And so you got to think you can make the rooms a lot larger. It's a
Right.
bigger space you can do, because you're going to actually take some of that out and turn it from the 2-family that it was into the single family. So you
Right.
got to think people have an extra large master bedroom. They'll have walk-in closets that they typically don't have in a Detroit house. So that's the bonus about when you take a 2-family and convert it into a single family. The square footage is different.
It's like an open canvas. So I've taken them and added master bedrooms with the master bath, with
Yeah.
the walk-in closet. We got one on the market right now.
Yep.
What neighborhood?
It's in Morningside on Bedford.
Okay.
Yep. It
Yep.
turned out beautiful too.
It was once a 2-family, and we was like, oh, we'll convert it. Now we typically don't convert the 2 families that we are going to keep as rentals. We'll leave those 2 families, but the moment that we might want to sell it, it might be more advantageous, instead of leaving it as a 2-family, to turn it into a single family. So you know,
If
just
it's got
it
the
just
single
continues.
door, that makes it easy. But if it's
Yeah.
a double door, then I'll leave it as a
2-family.
If it's 2 separate entries, just leave it as a 2-family. It's
Yeah.
too much work to kind of tear it all out.
Yeah.
I got one more question.
No, keep
going. What's the range that you try to focus at when you're doing flips? Like in terms of when you remodel, not flips, but when you have to remodel the inside, or have to renovate the inside.
Like what price range do I kind of try
Yeah,
to
like I
stick
know you
in?
gotta do the bathroom, the kitchen, which is the 2 hottest things.
Like what are those costs us usually?
Yeah, when you trying to stay between.
I think more or less he's trying to say, what would our profit margin be? Like, right?
No. He's
No,
talking about
what
how much
you
we're
spend.
paying, how much we're
Yeah.
spending on each one.
Well,
of those
I guess
items.
because I look at it both ways. I mean, typically when we pricing out a flip, we're looking at what we're paying for the property, and then what is it going to cost us rehab wise.
Right.
So it might be between 50, 60,000, right?
Okay.
Well, if it's going to cost us 50,000 to buy the house, and then 50 to 60,000 to rehab it, and we can only sell it for 120, it's not a really good
Okay,
flip.
gotcha.
That's what I mean by we
Gotcha.
got to look at what your profit margin is going to be. But if you're looking at buying it for 50,000, you're going to put 50, 60 into it, and say they're selling for 180. Now we got a good profit margin.
Yeah, I got
You
it.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, especially too, you got to think when you're playing it that close, because it's not to say that you won't make any money, right? You'll still make a little money if you did it at 100,000 or 110 all into a property if it's selling for 120, 130. But you got to count in commission, and then you always want to leave room in case you got to help the buyers anywhere. Give any type of concessions, things like that. So that's another reason why you want it to be in a quite higher price range than what you're going to buy the property for and rehab it for. So those are different costs that you don't think about at first. You're like, well, if I sell it and I made 10, 20,000. Yeah, but do you really make 10, 20,000 once you get done paying realtors? And then if the buyers need anything, and then God forbid something comes back on the inspection that you got to do, things like that. So you always got to leave yourself a little bit of wiggle room there. Yep.
So like
Did I
to
answer
further answer your question, like typically on the bathrooms, they're gonna range from like 5,000 to 7,000.
Okay.
Kitchen probably about 7,000 to 10,000, depending on the size
Yep.
of it, and then what kind of material you put into it. A lot of times in my kitchens, I try to go with quartz. 'Cause I like the quartz, so I had to find me a good quartz guy. Then I got me a good tile guy, and I got one guy who just do my kitchens and my bathrooms. And so you might get 2 or 3 kitchen and bathroom guys, and you work out deals with them and stuff like that. So, but you do have to be conscious of the after repair value, like Sherry was talking. So I'm looking at a fire damaged house now on Coil for like 25,000. And so I had my contractors go through. The labor is gonna be about $30,000. The material will be about $20,000. So now I'm purchase price $25,000, material is $20,000, and labor is $30,000. So that's $50,000 plus $25,000. So I'm $75,000. But the ARV is $150,000. So
Nice.
I'm gonna do that deal.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of deals we look for. So his question was how we ran into a house with plaster all the time.
All the time.
So I mean, you don't have to tear the plaster out, but if it's like damage, we don't go back with plaster. I go back with drywall.
Okay.
Yeah, but like a lot of times, if you renovate somebody's house for them, or like you doing some side work, if it's a homeowner, they're gonna want you to come back with the plaster.
Right.
So then you do that. But I mean, if you just you flip it, we trying to be cost effective. Drywall is up to code. Go that way. That's the easier route.
Gotcha.
Now, what we don't skip on is like electrical. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Plumbing, like the things where people can get hurt or cause damage to the house, like a fire hazard or plumbing, something like that. You gotta fix it the right way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that can,
Do
yes.
you do it to the studs when you're doing the rehab, if you have to rehab a house, are you making sure that there is down to the studs to rehab it, or it varies?
It depends.
It varies.
Okay.
It depends, because some homes are good bones, and you don't necessarily have to do all of that. But we get proper inspections and stuff done. And I would say for one of the things that I found out when we're flipping, I don't typically like giving my flip to one particular contractor. Okay, that delays your jobs a lot of times, and then if they got an issue or something happened or whatever, your project is all on hold. You know what I mean? So that's like Leonard was saying, find a good tile guy, find a good guy to do the bathrooms and this. We like to kind of break up certain parts of the job, just because it keeps productivity running. It keeps other people on their toes, and then lets other contractors see, I'm not the only one they working with, because contractors can make and break your stuff.
Yep.
Completely. Okay, they can hold your projects up. They can overcharge you. I mean, I've literally had contractors charge us depending on what's going on in their life. I'm being honest with you. Like, seriously, when we did a flip with you, 3 months ago, and our price point was this. Literally 3 months later, we're up $15,000 higher, because your baby got tuition and this is happening and that. You laughing, but I'm telling y'all the truth.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. But if you kind of take your jobs and you give everybody their specific thing that they're good at, if you got a heating and cooling, that guy need to be doing heating and cooling. Why the general contractor putting in the furnace? No, let my furnace man put in the furnace. You know what I mean? He can hook up the central air unit. If you got the plumber, let the plumbers run all the plumbing. The electrician shouldn't be doing the plumbing work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you have things like that, it makes the job run a little bit smoother, and it keep everybody a little bit more responsible for their task. Just what I found out. What she asked was, when COVID hit and people didn't have to pay their rent, did we suffer? Everybody suffered a little bit. You have to, at that time I had about 350 homes under my belt at that point in time, and COVID hit. And some of the people, we were really good because a lot of them were government paying properties. So I didn't have a lot of cash paying tenants. So on that end, yeah, we were fine because everybody's rent still got paid. On some ends, yes, it was people that, their tenants stopped paying. So we couldn't evict them. We couldn't do anything. We had to wait just like everybody else. So, and then a lot of them, some people got rejected for SIRA because they lied. And when they went in to put in paperwork, they wasn't eligible for it. And then some people turned around and lost their Section 8 because they went and did that whole, when they was giving out money, they was giving the unemployment money. So they went and told Section 8 that they was Section 8 found out that they had got unemployment checks. Well, how did you get an unemployment check if you didn't have a job? So they got kicked off Section 8. So some stuff didn't even happen right in COVID. It was like the aftermath of COVID as well.
Can you explain what SIRA is for people that don't know?
SIRA was when the government was trying to come in and save some of the landlords for the tenants that wasn't paying. So they were able to apply for SIRA for the loss of rent. But it was a twofold kind of process. So your tenant had to do part and the landlord had to do part. So even as the landlord, if you did everything you were supposed to do, if the tenant didn't do something, or if the tenant didn't qualify or whatever the case may be, you didn't get the SIRA payment. So some people got SERA, some people didn't get SERA. But to your question, we all took hits. Like I said, what guarded us was, and I know government tenants be a headache to some people, right? Because they have to keep up the repairs, they have to keep up maintenance, things like that to stay in compliance with the government agencies. But one thing about the government agencies, the money didn't stop. So anybody that has Section 8 tenants, or anybody that had, because I deal with different housing agencies as well outside of just Section 8. One thing here great about Michigan that's not in some other states, some states only deal with their state as far as the housing goes. So you have to go directly, like in Florida, it's only the state of Florida that deals with Section 8 and housing. Well, here in Michigan, we have different entities. So there are all different types of entities that still pay just like Section 8 does on behalf of the tenant or for the tenant. They just may have to qualify for them differently. So I have relationships with those people as well. So those people, their rent kept coming. Nothing ever stopped with them. They were still able to get paid. Yep.
So,
Well, he asked, what is one of the reasons to talk to us regarding property management? Well, one, you can get me on the phone. That's number one. We actually answered the phone. How about that? Because a lot of property managers and things like that now are making everything automated, seamless, to where they're not talking to people. You got to deal with computers and automated systems and everything else. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking automation. I'm not knocking ChatGPT. Love it, use it myself. However, some people just like to hear from a person. They want to know they can physically get somebody on the phone and talk to them and correspond with them. So I do have an office, I do have staff, so you were able to be found. How about that? Second thing I would definitely say is, I know our market, I know what needs to be done. If you're the type of landlord that you don't like taking care of your properties, you want to cut corners, you want to be a slumlord, you're not for me, period. I got a reputation to uphold. I don't move people in junk. I have tenants that come back to me years later and like, hey, do you have something I can rent from, just because they like dealing with us and our company. So, I mean, I keep a string of tenants, I keep a string of landlords who are like, hey, you make sure that this is done with the tenants, these are things are done properly and in order, that type of thing. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what needs to be done. I hope that you listen. That's all I can ask you. And that, we try to take care of your properties as we take care of our own. So I make your stuff feel like it's mine. So that's just bottom line.
How can you get, if somebody wants to get started, use it for property management, they wanted to get some advice, how can they get that from us?
last month we did an interview for 1 hour asking them questions.
I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
So it's on our YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out, it's there.
So we're on Mark's YouTube channel.
National Real Estate Network, and you can do YouTube channel Mark Maupin too. It's how they find it.
National Real Estate Network, Mark Maupin YouTube channel. You can find us there. We did an interview last month, like Mark said. You get all the tips and everything you need to know about property management, especially here in Detroit. And one other thing that I forgot to mention, why it's so great to invest in Michigan, in the Detroit area period, is this is one of the few places in the country where you can buy a rental property and get you a high cap rate, a good return, anywhere from like 15 to 25%.
That's right.
Which is unheard of, and that's unique to Michigan and Detroit a lot of times because of our price points, and we have higher rents. So we got lower purchasing prices in certain neighborhoods, but then the rents are very, competitive.
Yes.
So that makes it good for investors.
Yes. She asked if I heard about the federal government giving out grants for people to purchase and rehab homes, correct? Yes, I have heard about the federal government giving out grants. I know they're really working that more so through the HUD program. So some of it is based towards people that are already like on Section 8, things like that, who want to buy a home and looking forward to rehab in that way. They do have some stuff for the investors. I believe you have to pass some of their criteria, and I believe you have to have a history of doing some type of investing and stuff as well to be able to get into that program. Yeah, but they do have them, and I believe it's certain neighborhoods too. They want you to be able to do it in. Yeah.
I'm one of the realtors for the Detroit Land Bank as well, and they have a program if you want to get into development. where they will actually give you some subsidies to build new construction in certain neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't have the information with me, but I can get with me after the meeting. I can get that information for you if you're interested in doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are. She was asking about lenders. Yes, there are lenders. They have what they call the DCR, the DSCR program. So basically, they go off of the rent of the property. So there are all different types of ways and programs to be able to find you some money if you want to not use your own money to buy a property as well. One of the things that we like to do is also, if we're going to hold it, we might buy it out of our own pocket, rehab it, and then we'll go pull the money from it to be able to go and buy something else. So that's another option as well too. So you might only tie your money up for a moment, but you can always go pull your equity from it and then go buy something else and reinvest it that way as well. Yep.
And then also in this market, a lot of investors are open to land contract, so you can do that as well.
Yep.
They have what are called bridge loans, which are the 5, 6, and 4 loans. So if you can find, there's a lot of bridge loan lenders out here. They're like a dime a dozen now. So if you just Google bridge loans, you can find somebody.
Bridge loans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do it.
Amen, yeah.
You can find your bridge loan. It's easy.
Yeah. Well, HELOCs are only good on your primary residence. Yep. Yeah, but people think sometimes they can pull, and a HELOC is a home equity line of credit, guys. When you're doing a HELOC or a home equity line of credit, they typically only give you guys those on your primary residence. So if you have a primary residence with enough equity, you can do a HELOC and then take that and put it into an investment. They don't typically like giving you a HELOC loan on an investment property. So just FYI. I get asked that question all the time, so the only reason why I clarified it.
And then the beauty about the bridge loan is they'll actually give you the money to purchase the property, and they'll give you the rehab money.
Yeah.
That's how you get it, and you can come less out of pocket. So that's what I love to do, bridge loans.
Yes.
They work out really well,
Yes.
and you can scale easily with those.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you deal with any hard money lenders?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what the bridge loan is. Basically like a hard money loan.
Yep. Oh.
For a first project, don't take on a house that needs everything. Take on like grandma's house where it was like well maintained. You might have to do a roof or windows or a
Put some
kitchen or a
carpet.
bathroom, do some paint, something like that. Don't take on a full blown out house where there's
We
you
can
gotta
see
do-
the
you gotta
ceiling.
do everything.
Like
Not the
Linda.
house that I sold for. Don't take on that house.
Right.
Not out the gate.
Not out the gate.
Because you just want to learn, and then maybe do some of the work yourself.
Or be cautious about the size of the home. I remember I looked at this one project, and this was years ago, and I was just getting into fixing and flipping, and I looked at this house, and I really wanted this house, and it was in Boston, Edison. It was humongous though, right? And I was like, this is way too much for me to be messing with. I really wanted to do it, y'all. Y'all have no idea how bad I wanted to do this house. But I had to understand too, that was way out of my scale, because you got to think a house like that can cost you anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 to rehab. Mm-hmm. Seriously, yeah. So those are projects, and that's what he's saying. You got to kind of look and see what's your tolerance level, right? And just because you can afford to do it doesn't mean you should. Yeah, so just because you got the room and the budget to do it, I wouldn't say start there.
It's like starting off in the gym. You don't just start off lifting 300 pounds. You got to work your way up. So
Yeah.
You got to exercise. You got to get the dumbbells. You're going to start off curling 30, then you're going to move up to 35, 40, 50. So you want to work your way up.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see here. I started in real estate when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
I started working for Century 21 Elegant Homes. I was actually an assistant to a top producer there by the name of Marion Tindall. So that's pretty much where I started.
Marion.
Shout out to my girl Marion. But yeah, I started there in real estate, and it was like magnetic. It was just one of those things I just fell in love with. So I ended up working there. I ended up learning every single part of a real estate office you can possibly learn. So I worked in the management. I cut checks for the agents. I processed deals. I ended up doing everything. I ended up running the whole front office at the downtown location that they had expanded to. So it was nothing in the office form I didn't do. So it was like nothing else to do but go ahead and get my license. So I ended up going and getting my license, and then after that, stuff just took off for me. I started working with a couple of my friends at the time, these two guys that were brothers and everything else that I grew up with. So we started buying houses and we started flipping them. I was 23 years old. I had 2 investment properties and a primary residence at 23. So this was in my blood. This is what I did. You know what I mean? And it just kind of took off from there. Then I started out in traditional real estate, and then I met Mr. Handsome over here, and in broker's class, and we met in broker's class, and he was already up and kind of running. He was just kind of getting his footing over there at RCH, and I was like, when he told me about his company, I was like, RCH. You know, I'm a Century 21 girl, right? I know Remax, Century 21, Kellerwood. Like, I knew the big names. I ain't know no RCH. I was like, let me Google him.
My name wasn't.
I said, let me Google him. And, but turned out that it was a really, really great partnership. So I went and joined RCH, and I learned something completely new over there because he dealt with more REO and bank-owned properties. And I wasn't really used to that. You know, I was used to dealing with buyers and sellers. I wasn't used to dealing with banks. So, and you couldn't have that same correspondence or interaction that we had with buyers and sellers sitting at the table. So it was a little bit different for me, but I soon learned to, you know, hitch on to the wagon. But that's pretty much, I guess, I'll let you take the other half. Go ahead.
So my story is a little bit different. So I'll start where I was an engineer for General Motors, and me and my buddy, one of my best friends, he wanted to get his real estate license, so we decided to take the class together. He didn't finish the class, I did. So I got into real estate because I wanted to invest. And so I said, well, better way to get the properties than to be an agent so you get first dibs on the properties. So that was the thought process behind that.
He never wanted to be a broker, y'all.
Never wanted to be. So fast forward, I said, well, wow. I met an agent by the name of Kim Craig. Shout out to Kim Craig. And Kim was doing a lot of REOs. She had about 20 listings. I was working for Monique Carter and Associates. That's where I started my real estate career, Monique.
Amen.
And Monique trained me really well. She taught me how to do all my contract and everything. But I saw Kim was doing great with these REOs. And so I kind of like studied Kim, shadowed Kim, and then I started figuring out how to apply to some of these different banks of my own. And it just took off from there. And then from there, I went over to Mincom Real Estate, met Mr. Mark Maupin over there. He opened up a whole new world of how to do creative deals, and you know, I was working with him and his partner Roy, and we were doing a lot of deals. It was just great. And then I decided I wanted to be my own broker, so I started RCH and met this young lady right here, this beautiful lady in the broker's class. And the rest was history. We got together, and now we're doing all the things that we do now.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yep.
That's the short version.
She had access to how we got there. And then I started, so even when I was working at Century 21, when I started out there, that's where I started first property managing and stuff too. So when I met him, that's how I introduced him to, because he was like, what? I don't want, what? You crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not, just trust me.
When she met me, it was a big time for REO. I had about 400 or 500 listings at one time.
Yeah.
We would sell 30 to 50 properties a month. So we had like a closing a day.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was crazy. It was so busy.
It was really great, but
Yep.
those times are dead and gone now because the banks, it's too expensive for them to foreclose in Michigan. So now they send everything to auction and sell them as pre-foreclosure. That's why everything is going to auction.com. Or so you can go another good place, and I didn't talk about this, you can go to the sheriff's sale in Michigan. You can buy a property directly at the sheriff's sale. And so that's a good way to buy a property. I think Detroit or Wayne County is on Wednesdays. Oakland County, I believe, is on Thursdays.
Yep.
And in Macomb, I forget what day to do Macomb County Sheriff's Sale, but they have properties go to sale every week, and you can go straight there and bid on them and buy them. But you got to pay cash, and they want cash the same day. You got to bring a check. So if you win the bid, you got to come back within an hour and bring that check for the full amount.
And then you don't really know the condition of the property either. So
No, you
just
don't.
keep that in mind too. So,
Oh, what is my investor network? So Mark was saying, like, you know, he's got this house. How can I dispose of what's my investor network? So I built me an investor network of over 3,500 people since I've been in the business over like 20 years. And so it's an organic list that I built from scratch. And just I've kept in everything, and I got it in my constant contact. When I blast it out, I find buyers. It just keeps growing and keep growing. As I meet people, I just keep networking and, you know, doing things like this meetup here. And, you know, God is good. I meet a lot of people.
And what I do is, with my partner, we're looking for one house a quarter or one house every couple months that we can fix up and resell and make a pretty good profit. Our profits will range from anywhere from 40,000, sometimes as low as 30,000, but up to 50,000. Then our goal is to get that house rehabbed in a couple of months and make that profit. But when we're looking, you have to look at tons of houses. So what kind of houses are we seeing? We're seeing blown out houses. We're seeing houses where you don't have to meet them there because the front door is already open. You can just walk through it. But he's got the buyers for that. So I find myself, this is your best friend if you're any kind of investor, because you're going to find stuff that you need Leonard or somebody like Leonard that can move it. So like if you're in this game, you need to know people like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Short sales, but yes, to your question, yes, I have done plenty of short sales. I haven't had to do one in a very long time though, since the market has been,
Since the
up.
market stabilized. I mean, if we get a recession, you'll start seeing short sales come back again for sure.
Yep.
And there's another thing called the deed in lieu. Well, not the deed in lieu. What is it? Okay. Subject to. Subject to. So the sub two is where you kind of like assume the mortgage and you structure it a certain way. You take over the payments and you give the owner, say maybe 10, 15, 20,000 or whatever. You take over the payments and then you resell the house to somebody who doesn't have like the best credit, and then they take over the payments and you put a little fee in between. So that's called a sub two deal. So you'll start seeing subject two deals come into play, and I think you'll start seeing short sales come back into play. But God forbid that we go back into a recession. I hope we don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, what is a short sale? So a short sale is basically, say for instance, I own a home and I owe the bank $200,000 for my house, right? But I can't sell it for $200,000 due to whatever reason. The property values done dropped. I didn't update the house, whatever the case may be, but I need to sell it. I'm getting behind on my payments. It's hard for me to keep up with it, but I need to sell it for less than basically what I wanted. I have to go to the bank and ask them would they take less than $200,000 to let me out this house. Now, as the seller, I don't walk away with money on this deal. You're basically just trying to save your credit and not have a foreclosure on your credit. That's basically why you're doing a short sale. Sometimes people that are buying the house from you, they can work a little something out with you to say, hey, we'll give you, some money to walk away with it. But the bank, they're not giving you anything. They're gonna typically, you got to do whatever that is. So if I go to the bank and say I get a buyer, or say Leonard has a buyer for me for my $200,000 property, but they're only willing to pay $120,000. I got to go to the bank and ask the bank, is it okay if I sell this house for $120,000? They're going to ask for several comps. They're going to come out and do a light appraisal done to the property. So it's some steps that got to be done for it to go through certain approvals and everything else with the bank to see if the bank is willing to take an $80,000 cut off this property. So a lot of times they do, once they get the information, once they get the comparable, especially if the market isn't saying that they're going to get that $200,000. Now what they may make you do is, hey, put it on the market and see if you can sell it for $200,000 first before we'll approve the difference. But that's basically what they want. That's basically what you're asking the bank to do in a short sale, and saying, hey, can you take less than what I owe you and we're good. That's basically what you're asking. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The question was, how does he keep his buyers engaged in the network he has built? Yep.
Keep the properties coming, keep content coming, post on my YouTube channel, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, okay, so our dollar is declining every day, as it is, and I was looking for something to diversify our portfolio. So I know we have real estate, I know we have different things like people who invest in art and stuff of that nature. So I was out scouting and looking around to see if I can find something to be able to be like, hey, where else can we put our money that would be more of a safety net versus just putting it in the bank? Because as y'all can see, the bank is not the safest place for your money, if you did not know. So I came across gold and silver, and I came across a way to be able to buy it to where I can trade my dollars in for gold and silver and be able to have it shipped to my house. I can buy it digitally if I want to. I can watch it grow with the market. I can do a ton of different things with it. So this was an avenue that I found that would be more advantageous for us to be able to put our money, because, you know, ever since our nice President Nixon decided to not have our dollar backed by gold, it's not backed by anything. It's called fiat currency, and fiat currency means it's backed by whatever the government says it is. So I look at it like this: if I give you $120 today, and I tell you to put that $120 in your purse, 3 months from now, and I tell you to just hold on to it, 3 months from now, that $120 will still be just $120. Now, the buying power of that $120 may have fluctuated and changed depending on what the rents, what the groceries have went up to, what something has increased, right, within our inflation costs. But if I tell you to take that same $120, and if I tell you to go buy gold with it, or if I tell you to go buy silver with it, that $120 in 3 months can potentially be $150, $160 in value versus depreciating. That's the reason why I went for gold and silver, because I'm looking for something to not only put my money into, but that's going to grow. And gold and silver over all the years, since about 1913, has continued to do nothing but increase in value and hold its value even as it fluctuates with the market. So that was one of the good things I found in gold and silver. So, yep, I found the awesome company that where you can buy it through them, you can sell it through them, you can you can have an IRA that's backed by gold if you want to. Yeah. So I did my research and I found something that it works. I mean, all the way around. So yeah, we care about. I call it all things financial. So that was this how it kind of just stuck to me and gravitated towards me over the years. So that's the reason why we went into the tax business and been doing that 14 years. That's the reason why we've had the real estate company. Yeah, I'm telling you, he only did have this stuff because I was like, hey, come on with me. Well, we can show that to them. But yes, well, you can put them on the camera thing. But yes, that's what I'm gonna separate. But yes, those are things that just kind of stuck to me. So once I tapped into that financial market and seeing what's important and how we work our money and what's the best ways to work our money, that's what I've gravitated towards. And I just like teaching people how to do the same thing. So that's it. Yeah. Is that it, guys? We're good? Thank y'all for having us this evening. We appreciate y'all.
Enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
One
for
last
inviting.
question.
Yes, Mark has one.
If we want to connect with you, what's your phone number?
My phone number, you can reach us where you want us to go. Our direct phone numbers, office phone numbers.
Direct phone numbers.
The direct phone number is, my phone number is 313-784-7118. That number is 313-784-7118. Leonard.
My phone number is 313-510-7887. And my email, you can reach me at lenny@lennybuysdetroit.com. That's LENNIE buysdetroit.com.
Okay, amen.
We'll put all this on the video.
Yeah. Come on, because my email is spicket@rchlegacy.com. And so, yeah, that's it. If you want to catch me on any of my Instagrams or YouTube channel, you have to go to Say That Sherry. That's where I'm known and all of that. My podcast is Say That Sherry on YouTube as well.
All right. As I mentioned, we have these meetings here in Southfield. We bring in a different speaker all the time. And again, if you are watching this via YouTube, we appreciate it, but you will get so much more if you're local, if you come out here and network. All right. Always the third Tuesday of the month. Thank you very much.